In this video, we're going to show you how to install an inner tie rod end on your Toyota Camry located on your steering rack. Use a pry tool, go ahead and pop off that center cap. Use a 21mm socket to go ahead and loosen and remove the lug nuts. Remove the wheel and set it aside. And start by pulling your wheel this way here. You want to go ahead and gain access to the outer tie rod end nut. Use an 18mm socket to loosen and remove the tie rod nut. Remove that and set it aside. We want to go ahead and loosen our jam nut right here. This is a 19mm on our particular vehicle. All right, we're able to break that free from the back side of our tie rod here. We want to go ahead and loosen this a little bit more on our inner tie rod. And ours is a little rusted here, so we're going to go ahead and soak this in rust penetrant. I want to go ahead and lift up on our outer tie rod and remove this. Now, if you can't pop that out nice and easy like that, simply take a hammer and you're going to strike down here on the knuckle while applying some upward pressure on this here. That will shock this here and let that release. So you're just going to bonk it, give it a few whacks, and that should come out like that. Now, next thing you want to do, grab a crayon, a marker, pen, piece of paper, anything like that. What we're going to do is you need to document something here. And what we're going to do is we're going to unthread our outer tie rod off of our inner tie rod. When we go to install the new one, you want to go ahead and thread on the new one the same amount of threads that you would that you remove the old one. There's 14 turns before that was released. So now when you install the new one, you want to go ahead and thread that on 14 turns. Now I'm going to go ahead and mark, you can write somewhere in the wheel well area here. You can just put a little 14 on the side of your strut here. You can write it in the wheel well area, but this will tell me how many turns it took. That way there I won't forget it. Now I want to go ahead and remove our jam nut here. I do have a set of locking pliers here, or pliers to hold the inner tie rod while I remove the jam nut. Now if you have an impact driver, you can go ahead and zip this off. On our Bellows boot, we have the little retaining clip here. I'm going to use a pair of pliers, slide that off. Now, if you follow the Bellows boot back, on the back side, there's a metal band on the back that secures the inboard part here. Now, we're going to go ahead and use a screwdriver or a pry tool to go ahead, and you want to break that band off. The band is a one-time use, so we want to go ahead and pop that off, and then we're going to go ahead and work the boot off of our inner tie rod. Now, these clamps are a one-time use. So now that we have that band off of the boot, we can go ahead and start to pull that down the inner tie rod, and we're going to work that off. Now from the outside here, we can grab that boot. Might take two hands. We're going to pull that off the inner tie rod and slide that off. And install our tie rod end tool here. Once we have that loose, we're going to go ahead and spin that off. Make sure you get the little lock collar here. I'm going to take some of the supplied grease for our inner tie rod. going to put that on the pivot point here. Now what we're going to do is kind of pack it in. Now I want to go ahead and install this here. You want to make sure that the little locking collar of these tabs line up on the steering rack itself. You can see on the steering rack inboard portion right here, there are two little notches. You want to make sure that that lock collar lines up into that. So hold that collar, thread this on. Let's go ahead and tighten that down. I want to go ahead and tighten this down. Now when tightening this here, you just want to make sure that it's good and snug. What you don't want to do is over tighten this here and then twist the shaft on the inside of the steering rack. You can damage the rack that way there. You just want to make sure that that is good and tight. Go ahead and grab the inner tie rod and move this around. And what you want to do is kind of push that grease inside as you work this around and lubricate that pivot point. You can actually feel it loosen up a little bit as that grease gets in there. Now we want to go ahead and install our inner rack boot. Now because we popped off the metal band, not reusable, simply use a tie strap here. I'm going to pop this on. I'm going to slide this over and I'm going to push this onto the rack itself. It's going to pop onto the back and then I'm going to use some pliers. I'm going to tighten this down and cut off the excess. That'll seal this back end. So I'm going to go ahead and work this down. For any reason, if you can't get the boot back to the rack itself, you can go over to the other side of the vehicle and you can grab that wheel and you're simply going to turn it. It's going to pull that inner tie rod in with that rack boot. Spin that in all the way. And now at this point here, it'll be compressed. And once you get that boot pushed on, you can go ahead and tighten down that tie strap there. You can use your pliers, tighten that a little bit more, and then just cut off the excess. Go ahead and grab that clamp for the end. Go ahead and slide that over and lock that into place. Thread on the jam nut. Now I'm going to go over to the other side, extend this out. Now we can go ahead and install our outer tie rod. Grab that, and we're going to thread that on. Now we had 14 turns to remove it. Now this here is a preliminary setting. This does not set your alignment. After you perform this job, you do need to go ahead and bring it down and have the alignment professionally performed. You'll run that jam nut down a little bit up to the back of the tie rod end. And remove the nut. Notice you have the hole for the cotter pin here. Line that up, drop this down inside. that through. Get the nut started. Let's go ahead and snug this down. We're going to use our 18mm socket to tighten this down. Let's go ahead and torque down this nut to 36 foot-pounds. You want to go ahead and try and locate the notch here in your ball joint stud, feed your cotter pin through. Now, if for some reason you can't find that hole here lining up with the castle nut notch, simply tighten down the nut till the next opening. Never loosen this here. Now our hole is right behind this little piece of the castle nut, so we're going to have to tighten this a little bit more. You see the cotter pin coming through. Use your pliers, cutters, bend that down and over. I'm going to bend that over. Cut off the excess. Let's go ahead and tighten down our jam nut. The next thing I'd like to do is go ahead and grab this outer tie rod and twist this up. I like to make sure that our tie rod is nice and level here, not twisted up or down. Now at this point here, we're going to go ahead and install your wheel, bring the vehicle down to a local alignment shop, and get that squared away. Go ahead and take your wheel. Line up those studs there. And get our lug nut started. Once we have all of these on, we'll go ahead and snug them down. Go ahead and torque your lug nuts down to 76 foot-pounds. Do this in a crisscross or a star pattern. If you have a hubcap or a center cap, go ahead and install that now. And you're all set.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.